All right, welcome, friends. Today's conversation is a conversation. We are having a chat with Emily today. She is a somatic coach and she uses human design in her coaching program. And we just want to have a deep dive into what that looks like. And here's a special treat for everyone here. Emily is a reflector. So we're going to dive into the reflector energy. I know that in the online world, there are a lot of trendy misnomers that are happening. So Emily's like really wanting to dive in, look at her chart, and also, look at her business model through this lens. So it's good to hear Emily's process, how she uses human design. So we're just going to kind of have a conversation today. So welcome, Emily. Thank you very much for coming onto my channel and sharing with the audience your reflector hood and the beauty that can be found inside of this particular chart. So
Thank you
welcome.
so much, Leann. Excited to be here.
Yes, yes. So tell me a little bit about like how did you navigate to this place of being a somatic coach?
Yeah. Well, from living my life mostly in my head and prioritizing achievement and even spirituality, I would say, above my own like emotions and my human self. Like I was very connected to, yeah, the spirits, and I'm like all up in the heavens. And then I was like, wait, but how do I feel so disconnected from myself? How come
Mm,
emotions come out of nowhere and I have no idea what they mean, what's going on, and just disconnected from myself, really. And that's what led me to embodiment work and somatic inquiry, somatic movement, and feminine energy healing, because my business is called Guide to Wholeness. And so the goal is always wholeness. And I just realized, wait, by being in my head all the time and like only prioritizing my intellect and thoughts, like I'm actually disconnected from my wholeness and my emotions and my body, and just coming back home to myself has made me just feel, yeah, like grounded and able to listen to my intuition. So I love helping others do that too.
love it, love it. Okay, so for anyone in the audience that doesn't really know what somatic is, can you explain the word somatic for the audience?
Yes. Yes, definitely. It's connected to the body, of your body. So really, it's like an interesting process that I use in coaching. It's not a lot of talking. Like it's like the person has their eyes closed, and I'm asking questions to say, what does your body have to say? And it's really cool to see what your body reveals, and it will lead you to places that you never would have thought of. So that's basically what somatic means, and I know it can also mean like having to do with movement, but yeah, that's like the basic definition.
Okay, love it. So one of the things that you indicated is like getting out of your head, right? The intellect,
Yeah.
because this is how we're navigating right now. So through the lens of human design, we've been in this first line energy in the background, and that's been about, it's approximately 70 years. And
Wow.
what the first line really wants to do is have a solid foundation. It wants to study, it wants to do all this. So we've been trying to intellectualize, right, for so long that when you say to someone, like, how does that feel in your body? People are like, what do you mean? Right? Would you
Right.
agree with that?
Definitely. Yeah.
So, so helping your clients move from all the intellectualizing, because this was your process, into dropping in the body. Is there like could you just give us a just a tiny little bit of like a practice that you would do for someone? So if anybody here wants to, drop into their body right now before we go deeper into a conversation, so that they can start to really, instead of intellectualize this conversation, feel it in their body.
Yeah, I love this invitation. And it's how I start all my sessions is basically, yeah, just asking you to close your eyes and notice the surface beneath you. Notice the temperature of your breath as it's moving in and out of your body, and then noticing the movements that your body makes with your breath. And maybe it's like your chest expanding, your lungs expanding. You might have like some discomfort and just like moving your body to adjust. And doing that for about a minute or two. And then asking your body, what do you need in this moment? And then just like opening up. And you may not get anything or may seem like it doesn't make sense, but usually it can be pretty clear. Like, I need sleep, I need water, I need food, or I need more love in this way. And yeah, and then that will really just get you dropped in and connected and being able to receive in this way.
Okay. Okay. And and what I love is that this is such a beautiful practice that goes hand in hand with human design,
Right,
because there's such an intelligence in the body, right? There's a wisdom inside the body that, like, we've been conditioned out of, right? We've been
right,
told that that's not true. Yeah, yeah. So,
exactly.
um, in as you're guiding people back to their wholeness and walking through this somatic process, how do you use human design
Mm.
to, really solidify that and help clients in a deeper way?
Yeah. So I use it in inviting them, before our first session to find out their design and basically to help them know how they make decisions. I think that's the biggest thing because when you're disconnected from your body, you're disconnected from your intuition. And it's like there's so many options, and you're like, what do I do? But then once you know your type, it's really helpful. Like, okay, generators, it's like that gut sense. Like, I love that piece. And they are pretty bodily, other than the reflector, which is like letting the moon pass through all the centers, right, over the cycle. But starting there, and then even with the profile, like really understanding their purpose and their role so that they can say yes to the right things and then say no to things that aren't in alignment with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And in this process, um, are there any ahas that like, that your clients like show up with? Like, for example, say someone has an emotional authority,
Right.
right? Like, what are all the ways that they've stopped themselves, right, from tapping into that power and that wisdom that's there? And then when they see that aha, do you have any experiences, or you can share here about that? Because I
Yeah.
think I shouldn't say this. I feel as though the emotional authority um seems to be, in my experience with clients, the most elusive. It's like people feel like they can't connect with it, right?
Mm.
So I would love to hear this.
Yeah, for the emotional authority, I also just feel like it's really connected to that conditioning around, yeah, like you shouldn't be emotional, you shouldn't have this wide range of emotions, and that's bad. And so like it's not even allowing for that process to take place. And the other one I notice is with the manifesting generators around like permission to be jumping from one thing to the next, because that's another societal thing where it's like focus on one thing, like finish that, and then only like stay in line, and then you kind of seem erratic if you're doing, but that's exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
Yep, yep. And I'll just take it a little step farther with the manifesting generator. So, because that's what I am, that's my type. And I think it all depends on everybody's configuration for sure. But one thing Raw always said is still, still contract down, and really look at, like, what's the overarching. So, for example, for manifesting generators that want to build a business,
Mm,
jumping all over the place can actually cause burnout. So it's like, what
right.
is the overarching energy of the business so that each
Yeah.
pillar can be, built
Right.
without the burnout? That is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely not like starting over every time.
Right.
It's like connected. That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 100%. 100%. So I want to, like, I want to play with your reflector hood. And when you found out that you were a reflector, what went, oh my goodness, inside of you?
Yeah, so many things. Like I think my whole life changed and I was like, wow, I understand myself more and I can see why. I actually did get this feedback a lot growing up, but I just didn't like give myself permission, I guess, to live it out. But it was like, you need to be in the right place and the right environment. And I just didn't get that because I was conditioned, and obviously with reflectors, like every center is open. So I think I've learned a lot about conditioning and unraveling that. But I was like, no, I'll make it work. Like, I'll try and like fit myself in. And I would go in a place where it was like, especially a workplace, I think, where it was just like very chaotic. And, then with a reflector, it's like you're reflecting that back and it's not a good scenario. And so I just felt like I was so understanding of myself. I got more connected to the moon and like giving myself time to make decisions. That was another thing. Um, I think I always felt pressure to know what's next. Whereas like now it's like, okay, I'm gonna just let this sit and I can see things change over like weeks. I'm like, oh, that became clear, like that changed. So that really helped. And I also got connected to so many other reflectors. Like I joined Facebook groups and I met so many friends because it's like we understand each other and understand the unique things. And there was like I think during the pandemic, there was a lot going on. It felt energetically, obviously, but I would check in there and be like, I'm feeling this way. Who is also feeling that? And it's like we were like barometers in a sense. So it made me feel like less crazy and just like more seen and supported. So it's changed my life.
I love it. Okay, so for the audience, I'm going to actually share the screen so we can just take a look at your chart, just so
Yeah.
they can get a visual as well of this energy field. Um, what I love, right, is that you use the word barometer. Um, this is such a beautiful aspect, right? Like, is the pressure high? Is the pressure low? What's going on inside the community? What is happening? What's going right? What's going wrong? It's like this, temperature gauge,
Yeah.
barometer, measuring stick. Like, you guys are evaluating so many different levels of information inside those groups. So I love that. I love that. Um, so this is Emily's chart. First, what I would love to do is I would love to hear your relationship with the moon. I would love to hear what that connection piece is so that if there's any reflectors here that, are still confused, what does that mean? How does that feel? I would love to dive into that and your experience of it.
Yeah. I just always think of the period of time when I learned about being a reflector as like my love for the moon just like grew and I made this painting and I was like in this exhibit of like a moon phases and I just like have this visual of like the moon helping me to illuminate like different aspects of self because I think there was a lot of like shadow aspects that I had to work through and just seeing that the moon is lighting that up and that the shadow is always there. But I feel this phases very deeply, especially like the new moon for some reason. My emotions can really amplify and the full moon too. And so there's like a sensitivity there. But I think it's just that connection to like phases and cycles where I know that a decision will like change based on like what's going on with the moon. And so I don't have to um really worry. It's like, okay, the moon's on this journey with me because every other type has like their inner authority and it's like at first I felt so disconnected. I'm like, wait, I don't have like an inner thing going on, but it was like, okay, there's this outer authority that's always supporting. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And one thing Raw did say, I don't know if you've ever been introduced to Darmen. Oh gosh, I want to
No.
say his last name's Swan.
No.
So he's actually Ra's original reflector. Okay. So Ra like really, really took him under his wing, right? Because Ra really wanted to understand this whole process. So one thing Darmen had indicated, and I've been in a few of him and his wife's classes, is it's almost like he's like it's almost like a dial that goes click, 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 click,
Yeah.
and then it clicks in, right? It connects up with, for example, the moon comes into the six, all of a
Mm,
sudden intimacy is present, and it's like, oh, there's this deeper, fertile ground at that moment. And he's like, it took him time, right, to be able to really like sense this in his body. And of course, you being a somatic coach, this is right up your alley. But I would love, like, do you notice like those particular moments? Like, for example, the moon comes into the six, all of a sudden there's this fertile space, right? Because that 59.6 is so fertile that,
mm,
things start to unfold differently than they would any other time. Do you notice
right.
that?
So I have heard of like tracking the moon phases. Like I know this from other reflectors, and I think it would be really helpful because I get a sense of it intuitively more, but it'd be good to know like specifics where I do find that um like decisions I'm making, yeah, it's like I'll get the idea. And I think that's the biggest theme. It's like I have the idea and I'm like, oh, okay, like this has to happen right now. And then I try it and then it's like, no, no, like that was just the idea. And then like maybe a month will go by and then I'll like leave it and then it organically comes up and then I work with it. And then yeah, there's that clicking where it's like, oh, it's happening now. And
Yeah.
it's so satisfying when that happens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. Love that. So, yeah, I would totally encourage it. Just because, like, in my experience of 10 years of working in this material, is instead of us being used
Mm,
by the moon or the transits and all this stuff, like, we're actually designed to use it,
right.
right? So that's the beautiful part, I believe, of human design, because it centers us in our monopole and then really
Yeah.
says, okay, this sky clock's going around, use it, but
Mm,
stay centered in, your design and your decision making. So inside your reflector group, did they talk about like articulating it, voicing your um, decision making throughout the month? Do they
yes.
talk about that? Okay, okay. So what does that look like for you using like the sounding boards kind of
Oh my
type thing?
gosh.
Yeah, okay.
It's so helpful. I'm glad you bring
Yes.
this up. Yeah, because I need to talk through things
Yeah.
and I really like in the last few years, like voice notes have been really helpful because it's like I will just get it out and then like it's out there. And then sure, there's like reflection and feedback, that's what helps. But that it was more so me just speaking it, right? Than like getting advice. And I'm doing this with like so many trusted friends and people. So it's really helpful because I'm like, okay, like this, I said it this way, but now it feels different inside. And then, in a different context. And so I can really, I feel like now I'm like mastered that and I didn't even realize. So yeah.
It. Okay, beautiful. Yeah, I think voice notes, that is a really good hint and tip, right?
Yeah.
Because I would venture to guess, I would just venture to guess that, when I look at the Mercury, right, that's going on,
Yeah.
like your particular voice and communication, it's so individuated. So it's like in those times of, creativity, in those times of melancholy, it would be so, it'd be fun to kind of track those differences and go, okay, oh, I noticed I was really melancholy when I
Yeah.
articulated that, or oh, I could really feel the juice of the creativity when I was talking
Yeah.
about that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I will
So
listen to it too. And I feel like that helps me like notice the thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Because it's such an individuated process, right? 43 and 61. There's such individual gates.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I
so
don't know much about the gates, so this is really helping me
yeah,
of like that specificity. Yeah.
yes, yes. Because individuality operates in like it's almost like it planes and then it spikes up, and then it
Okay.
planes and then it spikes down. So it's like how Ra always talked about it is melancholy is your best friend, because in those
Okay.
melancholic moments, that's where creativity starts to really like everything starts to, be built, and then you can come out of it and actually build it.
Yeah. Very helpful.
Yes, yes. And the other thing that is so important for reflectors, and I would love to hear if you notice this. I know from our last conversation, I think this was something new that I'd shared with
Yeah.
you as well. So in cognition, so we're all designed to um, be able to, our brain body systems want to translate the neutrino streams or the transits or other
Yeah.
people's energy, right? And the physical body and the brain, that that hardware, it wants to be able to cognitize and go, okay, is this correct for me, is this not correct for me? And for you it is taste. So I would love to hear, since our last conversation that you and I had, have you noticed anything around taste? Like, does, talking about one decision taste a little bitter? Is there some tartness? Is there a sour taste? Um, and then through that, I would also love to tap into like the taste of your environment around you. Like you walk into a room and it's like really quote unquote ugly or messy,
Yeah.
and people's, taste or how do you taste their energy field? I would love for you to just share that if that is something
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool to learn because I'm very connected to my sense of smell, and I do find that that's like related. So like I'll get the smell and then it's like the taste is the processing. I'm like, "Oh, okay." And interestingly enough, in the last week, there's been an instance where I don't know, I guess I was meeting someone new, like a potential friend, and then this like bitter taste would like always show up, even though she was on the surface like seeming very like positive and stuff. But I was like, that's so weird. And then it was like because maybe I ignored it like the first time, then it like moved down, and then I was like, wait, now I have a stomach ache. And I think
Wow.
it's connected to that taste because um yeah, I can really get that sense through like environment as well, and then the smell and then the taste. And I'm curious if it has to do as well with like eating, like does
Mhm.
eating like different things, because I have noticed I've been I don't know, like expanding what I eat, and then that I guess like increases this sense. Yeah.
Yep, 100%. So um when you're consuming hot, okay, so your physicality, your brain body system wants to consume um hot liquids, is really
Yeah.
important. Hot food, why? Is because the digestive system is a little cool, so it
Yeah.
needs to be heated up. And through that, the tasting what it is that you're consuming is so important, right? Like a soup that has no flavor or taste and a soup that has a lot of flavor and taste are two different ways that your physical body will then absorb the nutrients,
Wow.
right? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's so interesting. And then if I look at as well the environment tone. So the environment tone has a lot to do with a touch. So
Mm,
not only is it important for you to like taste the energy of what's around you,
right.
but it is also important to pay attention to the frequency that you're touching.
Okay.
Okay. So with this, particular girl, or friend or potential friend, whatever that looked like, tasting that bitterness and having it go into the physical stomach, right? And it's like, what did her aura actually like when you're in her aura, like what was the frequency?
Right.
So there's two things for you to really tap into. I would lean you into taste, but then leaning you into that touch capacity for that environment is so important as well.
That's very
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like I can take in a lot of information that way, like as you're saying that.
Huge amounts of information. Raw kind of got a little freaky when he talked about six, 5 and 6 tones, so that you have a 6 tone here,
Okay.
um, because it's like that spooky energy that he was scared of it, right? But
Wow.
you understand it, you know it, right?
Yeah.
But he
Oh,
was like nervous of it, right? He was really scared of it. So he didn't go to the spaces that I think he could have if he wasn't scared of it. I think he could have explained it a lot like deeper, but he was a little nervous about it. Um, so I would love for you to just like share a little bit about like understanding that frequency field as a reflector when you're sampling it and you're touching it. Like, what do you notice in your physical body and how you translate that, not only through taste and touch, but I would love to hear more about your process around that.
yeah. Well, I do think it's very connected to like my stomach somehow. Like
Mm,
that will give me so much information. And actually, just going back to this other example with this woman, the first time I met her, like it felt very heavy in my stomach. And I thought, maybe I ate something, like I'm not sure. But it almost was like this heavy, like gripping. And so I'll notice this sensation of like lightness or heaviness. So if I'm around
mm,
someone and it's like very light and clear frequency, I'm like, oh, this feels good. And then I'm in a phase of like meeting a lot of new people. Like I moved somewhere new
mm.
6 months ago, and it's been a sampling journey where I'm like, oh, when I'm
Cool.
around this person, I feel like it was really interesting. Like I actually got brain fog.
Mm,
And this person had brain fog. Like they um were working through that, and they gave me like an idea for a supplement. They're like, yeah, like this is what I use. And then I haven't seen that maybe in the last month. And I'm like, wait, I don't have that anymore. And I'm like, I don't need this because that wasn't even mine. So it's like I have to notice how important it is because I'll like pick up the physical stuff too that
yeah.
they are experiencing.
Yes. Love this. Love this. So this is fun for me to look at this and go, okay. So we have the stomach and the mouth that are connected, the 37-40. So the 37 is the mouth, the 40 is the stomach.
Yeah.
But you just said you moved to a new community. So it's like you are sampling this new community, right? So it's
Right.
like that is the barometer that you're using inside of this community.
Yeah.
And it's pure awareness because it's not like you have a gate there. It's just being able to allow for everything to be sampled. And what I
Mm.
totally love is that you're like, hold on a minute, that's not my brain fog. Hold on a minute, right? That's not my sore
Yeah.
stomach. That's not this. And that, my friend, like your coaching business and your somatic process takes you to the next level by knowing exactly what is the pure awareness that you can take,
Mm.
right? Or sample. I shouldn't say take, but
Yeah.
sample out of that process.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love this. I love this.
Me
So
too.
to go a little farther, right? So when we're talking about the moon, I think what would be fun is for you to just
Mm.
play. So when the moon's in the 36, you
Yeah.
know, watch what goes on there. Watch how crisis and conflict either
Right.
helps you progress or stops you from progressing,
Right.
right? And then what you'll notice is you'll be able to articulate in your decision making what is the correct crisis,
Right.
what is the correct crisis for you
Yeah.
to now connect with, right?
Right.
So is that how you understand your particular design to operate?
Yeah, I would say so. Like now that you're mentioning it, yeah, this the somatic awareness and then the right conflict, I guess, or challenge, because I think that's the thing is like I will get through to what I want by like in this dance of like reflecting and sampling as you're saying, and then it will like open up the thing that I need, unless it's like a roadblock, which that will easily just like make it clear sometimes. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, but I thought that was so clear, but it was probably just something I needed to sample to then like that's been a major theme, I think. It's like sampling something will then open me up to the right thing. So I have to like be really detached. I would say like in anything, maybe it's like looking for a new home or um dating, things like that. It's like I really understand that there's a lot of like people or houses in between I have to experience and sample in order for me to open up to the clarity and the right thing.
Mhm. Totally. And is it your taste? Is it like, purchasing a new home, connecting with a business partner, connecting with a client? Is it in your taste?
Right.
Right? And
Yeah.
then what I love is that sampling aspect. Yeah, go. Like walk through the homes, do all of that.
Yeah.
Watch the frequency of it because everything has a frequency, right?
Yes.
Love it. Okay. So tell me a little bit more about like the decision to go to this new community. Like what
Oh,
did that
yeah.
look like, right?
Yeah, so that was exactly it. I was led to visit for a
Mm,
week. I went at a time where I was like really, I guess, not sure what was next. And I went and it was like my body was like, this is the right thing. Even though I'd only gone for a week and I didn't know anyone, it was just like, this is right. And then we moved and then it's like been the exact thing and just exactly where I meant to be. And so when people ask, I'm like, there weren't really reasons, like
mm-hmm.
logical reasons. It was like, I should go here. I didn't know anyone that had gone here. It was like, I just had heard of it. And I think I actually saw on YouTube, I'd like experienced a few videos and I was like tapping into the frequency of like, whoa, this feels so like open and high vibration. So that's how it was. It was like really connected to the frequency and then sampling it myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, and of course, like I look at that undefined G center. My G center is totally open and I kind of use it as a backup beacon,
Yeah,
meaning if I'm in a space, I really trust I'm feeling cognition. I really trust the feeling that this is the right place or it's the wrong place. And you have the
yeah,
same, like, yours is it, it's undefined. It's not totally open. But the
yeah,
beauty there is that it's like this beacon that says, you know what, the right place has the right people, wrong place has the wrong people.
yeah.
So I think that's so beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
One thing I do notice, okay, is that here we are, and this ego center, it's all about self worth, willpower,
Oh, yeah.
value, totally open,
That's been
nothing
very.
pointing to it. I would love to hear a little bit about like how do you experience this in the world?
Oh my gosh. I think that's been the biggest journey. And I think when I got my first human design reading, they told me like this is like what you need to focus on is the self-worth, and it is a big focus of my coaching now. Um, yeah, because it's so open, I think that the worth piece was very much extracted from the environment. Like I think
Mm,
I grew up just being like needing the reflection in the outer environment to like tell the inside what's going on. And it's been so beautiful to realize like that comes from within. And yeah, and just like owning my worth. And like I think that's come with the journey of connecting to my body, because I wasn't looking for feedback and it wasn't like a mental thing. But I'm curious to know like if, yeah, if this open center, if that really has to do with like not having your own internal kind of sourcing of worth, or like how does this play out, either if it's for Reflector or other design types.
yeah. So in how Ra explained it, and then my experience of it, I have three totally open centers in my chart. Um, how he explained it actually is that each incarnation of the personality crystal, there has been a learning from that center. So when it's totally open, all learning has taken place for this particular incarnation. Okay. So what he really indicates is that how it is best used is to be like this pure reflective space. So when you're like sampling, for example, your client, you can actually be a pure reflective mirror of
Yeah.
their level of self confidence, of
Yeah.
their level of self worth,
Right.
of their level of willpower. Would you agree with that? That you can,
Definitely.
yeah, you can, like, they'll say something and you're like, oh, I can
Yeah.
see where you're confident here and you're not confident here. Let's blend this together so that that confidence permeates throughout your entire experience versus just,
Yes.
over here.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So I also see design, like we have everything in the design. Okay. So you have access to willpower at any time.
Mm.
It is just the expression of it. So for example, like how do I want to say? It is the wisdom of willpower that you are here to express
Mm.
because it's totally open. So for example, myself, I have it defined. Um, like I express it through the 4521 is the channel that connects it, and I have a hanging 40.
Okay.
So how I express my willpower is through this education piece and quote unquote representing the haves, right? Like I have things. The 45 is designed to do that. It's designed to be the king, queen, all of that kind of stuff, right? And kind of,
Yeah.
oversee that. And the 40 is supposed to be the foreman. And that's how I operate. So I express that where you express the purest wisdom of it because it's totally open.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. So in design, like how do I want to say this? When Ra came, this came through him. We were in an era where anything like this was really spooky to people, right? Even talking
Yeah.
about energy was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Right? So I think a lot of his teachings um, came from a space where he held back a lot of information and
So
right
much.
because yeah, totally, right? Because he's like that was the era, right? Of trying to get
Yeah.
this into the but as I've walked through his material and kind of read between the lines, I get this feeling and the sensation of what was designed to actually be expressed.
Right.
So anytime I see a totally open center, I know for sure through my experience that, like, as a coach, that space is going to be so important for you because and when people don't have confidence, they don't take action.
Hmm.
So they'll keep falling back into, for example, maybe one of your clients is really confident in the way she cleans her house. So she's too scared to get someone as a housekeeper
Yeah.
because she's using that as an excuse to actually start her business and lean into
Yes.
her business, right? Because she's not confident over there. So
Right.
you get to use that real, pure, reflective energy to
Hmm.
now help her go, no, no, no. We're not going to hide behind this over here and step
Yeah.
up, right? Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Totally. Oh, it's so helpful to hear that. Yeah, it definitely resonates. And I think confidence is like a big part of the work I do for this reason. And I almost see it as like a lot of the people I work with are kind of hiding, like you said, behind, like a societally accepted way, like mostly like just working or like a 9 to 5, and then they're like, "Oh, but I'm really good at that." And then it's like, "But are you actually happy there? Like, is it actually making an impact?" And obviously, most of the time, it's like, "No."
Mm-hmm.
But it's really helpful to hear like just like that kind of shift and showing where they can actually be use their confidence in the way that's most authentic to their design.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, right? And what you said there was like, are they making an impact? And guess what? They're making an impact on their physical bodies, right? That's why they hire you,
Right.
because the physical bodies are deteriorating and they're like, why is this happening? Well, it's because they are so scared of, I look at your 6 and your 2 because that's your fractal line of people. Okay. So they're
Okay.
really scared of leading with their own natural abilities that they hide behind this, oh, I'm not confident in this area, so they'll hide. They will not be
Yeah.
bold. They stay in that shyness, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Totally.
so
That's so
crazy. No,
cool that you can see that from this part of the chart. That is awesome.
yeah, yeah. So along like the nodes, okay, so which are important to you as well. It's important to everyone, but because
Hmm.
the moon is such a driving force
Yeah.
for your reality, the nodes are everybody's trajectory. Okay, it's like this pathway that we're walking, but who the people are along that pathway are shown right there in the nodes. So there are people that second line, they are shy. They only are bold when the right call, they get called out. That's the only time that they think that they should be bold. And then the sixth line, which lives this three-partite life, right? Where the first 30 years is they act as a third line. So stuff
Oh,
bumps into them. Life hurts, right? So then they get scared and they start to pull away because they've made so many mistakes. When they get onto the roof phase and they're kind of
yeah.
watching all of this happen, and then they're designed to, step off that roof and be that role model. They've been so quote unquote injured in that first part of their life from all those mistakes. They're so scared to be a leader,
Yeah.
right? So
Right.
those are the people that are walking along your fractal line. So now you get to help them lean into the confidence that
Right.
is there, right? So that they can
Yeah.
step in, actually be bold to lead not only themselves, but anybody in their communities to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is, like, stepping away from the shyness and then, like, inspiring them to take the bold action, I
Yes.
see as, like, a major theme,
Yes.
um, that makes so much sense, yeah, so is the moon the part that has to do with the shyness piece or, like, the internal experience more?
So the moon for you operates as like this mechanism that like allows you to uh, use different energy fields, where the moon for the rest of us, the moon is really quote unquote the driving force. It's like It's the coordinator. Okay. It's actually the
Okay.
coordinator. This is the command post up here. Okay. But it's like the coordinator, it like drives us. So for you, what drives you is intimacy. So I love that, like, here you are, 5'1", of course, moved to a brand new community, and you're driven to go like make connections,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's what you're driven to do. And of
Yeah.
course, that diversity is really what you love, that 15, because the 15 loves the diversity of humanity. So that it drives you to go and connect with these people that, are leaders in the community. Sometimes they're shy, sometimes they're bold. Those people that can be leaders that are too shy to be. So, you know what I mean? You can blend this however you want to blend this. But as a
Yeah.
5'1", that is the beauty of your reflective aspect, is you're here to connect with brand new people.
Wow.
That's what 5 really is all about,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
now you want to look at what are those expectations that those people have. Okay? Because
Yeah.
5, you guys always get projected on, right? All
Yes.
these expectations. But what I love about that is that that is your ability to now narrow down in your marketing. Why?
Okay.
Because everybody's telling you what they expect of you, Emily,
Right.
right? And now you get to go, yeah, I can help you with this. Nope, I cannot help you with
Yeah.
that. But you can narrow in your marketing because it's like, they tell you exactly what they need
Yeah.
from, right?
Yes. I really
So,
experienced that.
yeah. So instead of you
Oh.
being their savior, now you get to flip the script, reflect back to them the level of confidence that they have. And now those people that are ready to move into that, they're going to stay in your coaching program. They're going to
Mm.
stay in your
Yeah.
Somatic process because they're like, yeah, Emily's the girl for me because she's constantly reflecting back my expectations. So they expect
Right.
you, but you can reflect it back to them so they can actually do it internally.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes so much sense. Yeah, because I am always, and that's actually how I get all these like content ideas is like people telling me like what they're and then in my sessions like I have just this running notes. I'm like, "Oh yeah, they said they wanted this, they wanted that." And so it's like then just reflecting that back.
Yep. That's
Wow.
beautiful. Yeah. I giggle. I always giggle at fifth lines when because fifth lines, of course, are the heretics. That's what Ra was.
Yeah.
He was 5'1" as well, right?
Oh.
And that can get a little wearing for you guys
Yeah.
until that moment where you step back and you giggle and you go, oh, those
Yeah.
expectations, that's what they need to shift inside of them. It has nothing to
Yeah.
do with me, right?
Oh, yeah. I feel like I had this realization last year where I was like, "Oh, yeah," like, because I think I was getting at reflections before around like, um, "Oh, this is like very out there," or like, "This is like different to me." And then it was like, wait, I started laughing one day because I'm like, "Oh, of course I'm like the heretic. Like it's supposed to be sounding like this is how it's sounding, but I can just like own that." And then like that just diffused that kind of
Yeah,
feedback.
exactly. Yes. Yep. Yep. And now, like, really, you can go out and universalize the message, right? Like,
Mhm.
and when I mean universalize, it's almost like this quote unquote dumbing down so that you
Right.
can get it permeated in your community, right?
Yes, yes, that's been my
Yeah.
journey, dumbing
Yeah.
down, like, distilling it into a language that, normal, like, quote unquote, like, people not in this field can understand has been my biggest lesson and journey. Like, I think I've embraced in the last few years because it's like, otherwise it felt as though I was in the heretic, like speaking a different language, and it's like dumbing it down. Once I did that, it was so much better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And of course, in your own individual way, because that's how your voice works, it's very individual. And
Mm,
then I take a look at your motivation, right? And it's hope.
yeah.
And what that motivation, I also have this as my motivation.
Cool.
And like hope really is, it's not about giving everybody the solution, which really plays into this fifth line, because your solution isn't for everyone. Your
Yeah.
solution is only for the people
Yeah.
that can actually hear your message. And when that happens, then hope is motivated and it moves forward to present the solution. But it's
Yeah.
not here because, of course, guilt is actually solution oriented. It always wants to give solutions, it's always talking about solutions. But you and I are hope. So the only time, um, we are here to present a solution is when we're hopeful and actually when we really have the intuitive knowing that our
Yeah.
solution is going to hit home with them. Otherwise, it's going to go on deaf ears anyways,
Yeah.
and you'll be burnt out trying to, like, put that out into the world.
Totally. That absolutely resonates. And I feel like in the last few years, again, I've also just come to that awareness like
Yeah,
naturally. Like I can sense when like, oh, is someone going to actually be able to like receive and input and take action? No, okay, then that's a no. And yeah, I feel like that's connected to the 5-1 too, of like
yeah,
not
yeah,
saving or like who doesn't want to be saved or like can't be.
yes, yeah, yeah. Who's not ready, you'll know that.
Yeah.
And who is ready,
Yeah,
you will also know that.
definitely.
Yeah. Oh, so fun. Oh, so fun.
Fun. We
And
have so
and
many in common, it sounds like
yeah,
too.
we do. We do have quite a few things in common. It's fun to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Love it. And of course, left angle cross of refinement, you're going to be refining your process over and over and over and over, right? It's just
Right.
that's who you are and that's perfection right there, right? Yeah, love it. And of course, you also have, the spleen is a totally open center, but the moon does connect here. So I didn't focus
Okay.
as much there. I really focused here because
Yeah.
even with the movement of the moon, there's nothing that's gonna, quote unquote, highlight this until like someone comes into your aura or whatever that is, right? I'm
Oh,
not saying
yeah.
that it's never going to be highlighted. I'm just saying that that is such a beautiful space for you to really lean into, because
Yeah.
it just, again, like Ross said, when we have everything available in the wisdom, it's a totally open center, and now you get to just beautifully reflect that back.
Yeah. I love that. And I do feel like it's such a gift that um sometimes I forget about, but it's like I think I'm just living it and then it's like, oh yeah, I feel this way. And actually it's just cool because I know I'm not even thinking something and someone will say something and I'm just like and then I don't know, I just feel like my being is like, maybe like this, like, and I can like hear it in my energy, like they just understood something by me just like sitting here and then like getting it back to them.
Yes. Yes. I love
Yeah,
it. I love it.
yeah,
All right. So, Emily, this has been fun. You and I had a conversation on your platform, and now we're having
yeah.
a conversation here. Um, so, I would love for you to share anything that you would like to share with the audience,
Mm,
as we kind of wrap up here, about your process as a reflector, but not only that, um, the magic of your coaching process. So that
mm,
if anybody wants to connect with a reflector who's, it's going to be no nonsense, right? Because you're
right.
reflecting back to them exactly
Mhm.
what they need. So just share that process, and then, you know, talk about your coaching. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would say the biggest gift would be this inner awareness and ability to have this insight into your landscape and make choices from that conscious place versus the patterns and the learned behaviors. And that's what I love to offer in my coaching. And with these somatic tools, you're rewiring your body and your thoughts and your emotions to your authentic design. And so that's why I love to offer those tools. And I use breath work,
Mm.
movement, somatic inquiry, in my program Wholeness Within, which is really about coming back to your wholeness and then creating your life from there. And so I also, it's the name of my book, Wholeness Within.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, so really just born from that process that came through. And yeah, so you can learn more on my website, Guide to Wholeness. But it's just such a beautiful journey of like knowing your body and knowing what's a yes, what's a no, and then the confidence to take action from that.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
So there's an archetype quiz. Do you want to share anything about archetypes?
Yes. Oh my gosh. So this is another thing I also think is connected to reflectors, but I started learning about archetypes and how they live in our collective unconscious, like especially like Greek mythology, and it's because they're so strong and in different character traits. So I read this book, Goddess Within, which was about these psychologists that did research around the six goddess archetypes that show up in most modern women when they're going through a transition. So you can call on different archetypes to embody and connect with, to navigate change. So I have a quiz on goddesstype.com that you can take, and it will give you the goddess that's emerging and then the one you need to balance out. So we're all made up of all of them. And it's just about like calling forward one that you need. And they all have different gifts, but there's some that are related to career or love or home. So yeah, I can offer that. And I have a little like mood board that goes with it that you can
Mm.
receive.
Oh, cool, cool. Well, I will definitely be playing in that because I think
Yeah,
that's
I'd love
fun.
to know what you get. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And like you say, it goes so well with a reflector energy because it's like as the moon moves, there's different quote unquote archetypes that fly through, your being as channels, as strengths, as places for inquiry, places to go into, check out the shadow, who's around, all this stuff.
Yeah.
I I adore reflectors because I feel as though the wisdom that you guys hold is something that is to be beholden because you
Mm,
guys just have this capacity to get to that wisdom in such
yeah.
beautiful ways.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that. I feel like it's been so great to dive into my chart with you. And I don't know, I just feel like with a lot of human design, they like skip over the reflector. Maybe they don't understand it. But I feel the same way. I feel like there's a lot of wisdom that can be shared and based on the other reflectors I've connected with. So I really appreciate your wisdom in sharing more about my chart.
Yes, of course. This is what I do. This is 10 years of my
Yeah.
life. I love it. I absolutely love it. And of course, like Emily, honestly, we are just like barely scratching the surface, right? You and I could have conversations from now until we both like move into pure positive energy
Right.
and still be learning about our designs. So I love it. Thank you very much for your time. So if anybody wants to connect with Emily, all the information's going to be below. I'm going to go play in the archetypes because I think that's going to be fun. So that invitation is for you guys to respond to, be initiated by. And again, Emily, thank you very much. I feel like we're going to have some connections in the future. I would love to see how this reflector energy just, gets more refined as you walk along in
Yes.
the process.
Thank you so much, Leanne. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Appreciate you too, Emily. Now I get to find the stop button.